At the turn of the new decade, humanity was faced with a global pandemic. A new threat emerged that consumed the major populations of mankind in ways yet unseen by history. As the technology of Earth advanced, so did the danger posed by the spread of this unknown pathogen. There were those in the beginning who did not think much of this disease, and they were the first to die as the misinformation spread. The collapse was swift across the various civilizations of the planet. Cities of all creeds began to shut down under quarantine, that eventually turned to violence and revolt. Travel and trade, what were cornerstones of human propagation, now became a dangerous carrier of this disease. Global authority systems convened to combat the spread, yet this affliction grew within the ranks of the people, as well as pervaded the subtle machinations which fostered what little peace the planet had left. Humanity tried to adapt, but the monster was already inside. It began as a virus, but in the end it became something beyond material shackles. As this disease wormed its way into the fabric of modern livelihood, the breakdown of society was not far behind. I remember in the beginning I told myself not to be afraid. Fear only makes the plague stronger. Now, if what I read to you sounds like the beginning of a horrifying apocalyptic scenario, congratulations, you're living in one. But don't be afraid for even an instant. Sure, you can face down a virus with only your hand washing and your sleeve coughing to protect you. However, what shall you do to protect your mind from that which lays just beneath the surface of the virus? There are those who wish to profit from your fear. Do not buy into them. Yet one must also be prepared for the worst, as well. How does one find the balance between overcautiousness and overreaction? Arm your mind with confidence and peace, for it may be the very vaccine against those grander forces which pervade your surroundings. You must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. You will face your fear. You will permit it to pass over you and through you. And when it has gone past, you will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only you will remain. Or something like that. We are living in very exciting times, people. If you're a virologist, a global epidemiologist, a paleontologist, a plague doctor, or just about anybody who's interested in seeing how viruses affect humanity on a time scale. For those who are watching in modern times, recognize that you are witnessing a global event that is more profound than you may be giving it credit for. And your responses to this pandemic at this time will indeed be pivotal for what is to transpire. And if you're watching this from the future, well, I'd like to think that we could all just look back on this and laugh.
This episode brought to you by Plague-Infested Hand Sanitizer, a fun prank to play on your friends.
So, you want some events from around the world, huh? Well, at this point, it would take so much time to cover, I would have to be talking about this until the next Dark Ages. Just about how bad Corona-chan has affected every home country. And even just my own home country of Americaland, just for starters. So I'll just rattle off some random bits of interest with full confidence even more events will be unfolding even as I record this. The stock market just recently tanked. Big deal. This is a dead indicator that Americaland is yet again headed towards a recession. Just kind of like clockwork every 12 years or so. If you don't know what a stock market is, it's a way for rich people to pass money back and forth to each other. Yeah. That'll come in handy when you're fending off a rage zombie. Oh, healthcare news. Which should be the biggest talking point on a show specifically called Plague News. Anyway, the healthcare system here in America land, and for most of the world, in fact, is a total mess. When the largest concern for humanity should be the health and well-being of their fellow human, we sure have a real habit of wasting each other's time through pointless processes and rhetoric. Do you have any idea how embarrassing it is for me to tell an extraterrestrial that in order for me to fix a broken arm on this planet, I need to have an imaginary value applied to strips of tree bark, which then have to be passed through an insurance company, in which the town doctor must then accept for whatever arbitrary reason just to perform their duties instead of, just having my broken arm fixed already? Well, perhaps the broken bone will be the least of my worries when the panel vans start rolling down the street and snatching up individuals in the night who have been declared infected. It's already happening in other parts of the world. Do not think for a second that whatever larger society that you live in will not give up its freedoms in an instant for a feeling of safety. Scary thoughts for sure, but you will not be afraid. Besides, I'm the scariest thing on the block. Now, what was I talking about? Oh, right, healthcare. I forgot what I was gonna say, but my big greasy black heart goes out to the millions of medical staff and interconnected departments that are all combining to combat this disease with pragmatism and communication. Testing kits are already starting to go out, and hopefully there will be enough global resources at work to make the inevitable vaccine available to those who need it. However, right now, we are dealing with those who will seek to profit from your fear. This vaccine and this entire economic upheaval will continue forward, so no real proper resolution will be found. It is quite a ways off. Meanwhile, we have our own healthcare to attend to in the new hip recreational activity known as social isolation. Let's see, airports, boat ports, municipal facilities, medical facilities, schools, shops, restaurants, bars, manufacturing plants, churches, and more are just being shut down all across the world due to quarantine measures. And in this time of unrest, many are speculating that in their own opinions of how to do things and go about their ways, and things are already starting to get out of hand. May I refer you to the individuals profiting from your fear statement I made a moment ago? There is a herd mentality that is going around, which I think you may have noticed, where people seem to be buying up as much as they possibly can at the local grocer or the supermarket during this time of social distancing. However, it has led to panic buying, and many shoppers are loading up on things which will most certainly not last more than a few weeks in an actual apocalyptic scenario. The major items being toiletries and hygiene products. A time traveler once told me that the most valuable items during the end times of a makeshift economy are going to be things like cigarettes, alcohol, gasoline, books. Anything that is perishable or would have required manufacturing to create will become immediately more valuable once the world goes kablooey. Schools. There's just so much to cover. I can only just keep breezing through stuff, so we're gonna keep going. Stay on target. Schools are taking a huge hit across the nation. I'm sure you've noticed. Many of them are shutting down due to the quarantine. I am interested in seeing the long-term effects of such a large national event affecting those of formidable minds. Back in the school days, I used to pray for a global viral pandemic that would sweep through and give me a few weeks off from school. Be careful what you wish for, kiddies. Regardless, I hope this creates a new generation of plague-aware individuals across the planet. It's a good practice, in my personal opinion, for us humans to have a global response for outbreaks, I think, Makes us more prepared for what's to come. This virus may not be the big one that takes us all out, but we only get one chance to be right about it. The biggest thing that bugs me about all this is that we certainly live on a planet that is inhabited by humans not only capable of working together to defeat a mutual threat such as a virus, but our own planet has more than enough to provide for us to create endless safety and security for all who dwell upon it. Food, medicine, and shelter simply should not be a concern for humanity at this point. Our freedom and happiness should have already reached the stars, it seems. However, we've spent the past few generations perpetuating old wars which should have just died off a long time ago. Where there should be camaraderie and brotherhood, we are met with undercurrents of xenophobia and prejudice amongst all ranks. We humans are kind of like a disease in our own right. And perhaps these times of social isolation, the establishments which have held us prisoner for so long, may become a slightly loose in our inward journey. In the swelling of fear, new forms of relief efforts and beneficial cooperatives have emerged as well. And we humans are simply living in very exciting times. It just takes us a global threat to get the picture sometimes. The bustling swarms of inner cities and the congestions of larger society have indeed slowed to a dull roar, lending time for nature to reclaim some of her beauty. Imagine if we could all emerge from a plague better people with a more refined grasp of what our grander ambitions hold. Realize that some of these older institutions no longer hold as much power and sway as we think they did. And then perhaps begin to take the steps of dismantling the old clunky machines and start planning for a healthier future. That's all for now. A bit different than the normal ramblings, I would say. I don't like the idea of my emotions being controlled, and for some reason I cannot shake this unsettling feeling about this entire scenario. Something is telling me that things economically and politically will indeed be getting worse before they will get better. Meanwhile, the bodies will continue to grow. Some predictions. Well, I would say protect your personal data. It is the new currency, after all, and it has become an ever-increasing battlefield in the digital landscape. Do not neglect that. To quote Trent Reznor, head like a hole, black is your soul, I'd rather die than give you control. Okay, I'm gonna go find some coffee to cram into this beak. I hope you all have a great night. Stay creepy, if we survive.